Hi, everybody. It's Saturday morning again. This is Carmela at Carmela's Rasslin Radio Relived with my beautiful co-host friend, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous love of my life, Jeannie. Hi.
Hi. Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm better. I'm better. Good. My ear's still clogged. I don't know what the heck is wrong with it, but I can still hear myself a little, but not that bad. We have an incredible show today. We have a lot of things to talk about. Today is our very first fan-based Rasslin Radio show. We have a fan from the 80s and who was a fan club member. We're going to talk to him, and we're going to talk about SummerSlam, and we're going to talk about a little bit about NXT. We're going to talk about AEW. We're going to talk about what is coming up for Rasslin Radio. We're going to talk about a whole plethora of really cool stuff. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, I like these shows a little better than just one wrestling guest, because we kind of tend to focus on them, and we don't have that much interaction. So I'm kind of really liking this, and we're going to talk about the signing of the banner. We're going to talk about August 3rd. We're going to talk about May 3rd. We're going to talk. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. Yeah. All right, so let's bring on our fan, ladies and gentlemen. This is Richard Swarttz. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Hi, Carmela. Hi, Jeannie. It's great to see you after all these years.
I know, it's been crazy. My God, it was so funny because when Rich and I are friends from a million years ago, right? And when I saw that you contacted me on Messenger on Facebook, I was like, oh my God, what a blast from the past, And it was so good to hear from you. And then once we decided to do fan shows, because I think that's so important, Rich jumped right on that. And he was like, I'll do it. So we're glad to have you here.
Yes.
What made you decide that you wanted to come on the show, Rich?
Well, I've always dreamed, like my dream in life was to be in the professional wrestling industry. And that was one of the reasons that I joined the Rasslin Radio fan club all those years ago. I wanted to be a ring announcer, and listening to your podcast since it started and remembering all the events that I went to with that you and Joel did, and even having the honor to sit in your radio studio one time in downtown Philly. I wanted to come on and share those memories with you and reconnect and get to meet Jeannie, talk about the old days. I could go on and on as to how I even started becoming a pro wrestling fan, and some of the cards and matches that I went to at the old arena at 45th and Market Street.
Oh my God, yeah.
And just like the memories are embedded in me like it was yesterday.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish. I tend to interrupt, so just.
No, that's fine. Just from
isn't that incredible, though? I mean, like, it's incredible that you just said the memories are embedded, and they really are. They really are. That's why, like, I just ramble off sometimes all these things that come to mind. But again, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that. How did you become a fan club member? What made you decide that you wanted to become a fan club member?
Well, I was listening to your radio show, and I liked what you were doing. And it was during a time period that the wrestling industry was changing dramatically. I mean, it was kind of like in the early stages of Vince really taking over all the territories, and the old school wrestling community was up in arms. And you had shows that kind of addressed that, and as well as looking at the current product at the time. and then you started having events where you would have certain old school wrestlers come to talk, and just the whole concept of the old school and what was going on at the time, because it was so controversial, and it was kind of like what he was doing at the time was kind of like the industry standard of this is not what you're supposed to be doing, and you're going against every cardinal rule that was part of the old school wrestling genre. And even saying that it was predetermined in sports entertainment and all that was like he exposed it, and everybody was up in arms, and you were covering all that, and it just really interested me. I remember, back in the days when there wasn't social media, the only form of communication was really snail mail.
Yeah.
And I wrote you a letter, introduced myself, and you reached out to me. And I remember spending many, many lovely times at your house in Philly, and we became very good friends. And that's how I joined. And I started going to some of the events. I remember you had a one-on-one sit down with Buddy Rogers.
Yes.
I was at that. You would ask me if I would assist. There was an ice skating rink in Delaware County where Don Morocco was appearing at, and you would ask me if I would go out there and help and assist, and I was glad to do that. I remember going on a bus trip. I think it was to Toms River, New Jersey, and I think it was a TV taping at the time. I think it was NWF. I think that's what it was at the time. And I remember going on a bus trip. I even had my wife go with me, and she suffered through that. But she watches wrestling with me every Monday night. That's one of the reasons I married her, when I told her I was a wrestling fan. And she grew up with it too, watching it with her father and Bruno and all that stuff. So, so all the perks and getting to become very dear friends with you, and just kind of getting more on the inside of wrestling was kind of my way of living my dream that I never really got a chance to really live.
Well, that's nice, because, hearing stuff like that from you, being a fan of ours, and all these years later still being a fan and having you on the show is an honor. Okay, first of all. And secondly, it brings back such memories for me as well, because some of the things that you're mentioning, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I do remember that now, because sometimes, in all fairness, I'm getting up there, I'm old, and, some of the stuff rings true, and then some of the stuff been pushed back in the back of my head for a while, and people like you, remember that and bring it up. And I'm like really happy to hear that. And I'm so glad you were able to actually come on today. I know we wrestled with this a little bit back and forth, trying to synchronize everybody's time, but I'm glad we finally got it. And then Monday night, we're going to do the podcast with Jamie Ward, but that's going to be on next Saturday. So we'll have another fan show next Saturday. But please, everybody who's listening, we were serious about this. We want fans on the show, especially fans that were fan club members. We want to talk about what it was like back then. We want to talk about what you remember. We want to talk about if you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. We want the truth. As I told Rich and I told Jamie, you can tell us all you want that you'll want to be on the show. That's wonderful. But please send an email to 316carmela@gmail.com, and we will gladly have you on the show. But before we talk a little bit more, Rich, I want to talk briefly on a few things that we're doing that are coming up. First of all, Jeannie, as you and I spoke about, we are going to have a lunch today. We're going on a very special lunch today. Jeannie and I and Frank Chili and Jeff, we're all going to go to lunch today and discuss him coming on the show.
Yes.
We're very excited about that. So we're going to meet with him today at around 1:00, and we're going to discuss having Frankie the Thumper, on the show. He's gonna relive the old character. Very excited about that. Also, on August 3rd, if any of you are not doing anything and you want to come out to Delaware, we're going to be there. Jeannie and I are going to be there. Joel's going to be there. It is, Jeannie, I'm going to let you talk about that, exactly what it is, where it is.
Well, it's in Newark, Delaware, at the Boys and Girls Club. Showtime is at 3 p.m. It's the ECWA tribute show. The original owner from 1967, Jim Kettner. It's kind of like a tribute to him and the ECWA from when he owned it. So a lot of the old indie guys from that time are going to be there. Ooh La La's going to be there. Glenn Osborne's going to be there. You said, Joel, there's so many. Low Key is going to be there. Christopher Daniels. There's just too many to name right now, but there's if you're in the area, definitely check out. And that's August 3rd, 3 p.m. start. And
if you need any information, contact us about that as well.
Yep.
Also, we're going to re-mention May 3rd of 2025.
Yes.
Again, that's a very, very special date.
Save the
Jeannie
date.
and I will be there. Save it,
Yes.
save it. Jeannie and I will be there. Joel will be there. Bay Ragney, Chubby Dudley will be there.
And Bay's going to be there on August 3rd as well.
That's right. He's going to be there on August 3rd as well. But this is May 3rd, so please mark your calendars for this. It's going to be a big one, a real big one. We can't give
a one and done one.
One and done is right. We can't give you any more information at this time, but as soon as we have it, we will. Also, we're still doing the banner. Okay, there's a banner, a signing for the banner. We want to raise a banner to Joel Goodhart, the late Larry Winters, Tony Stetson, Johnny Hotbody, and who's the
DC Drake.
DC Drake, I love you. I'm sorry. Anyway, because these 5 people were so influential in the ECW, ECWA, TNA, and we want to raise a banner in their honor. Now, believe it or not, I'm very, very excited to say this. Okay, Bay was on the show last week, and from the time that he announced that banner issue to now, I'm going to just jump out there and say we've gotten almost another 100 signatures. I am so excited and so proud.
Yeah, I think the last total I saw last night was 400. It's up to 400.
And I think it was at the low 300s last week. So it's close to 100. I want to say that I am excited. I'm so proud to be able to say that Rasslin Radio Relived contributed to a lot of those signatures. I am proud to say that our listeners are the coolest people in the world. I am proud to say that our listeners contributed to the signing of that banner. We need 1,000 signatures. So we're going to ask you to please come on and sign again. Today, when we post the show, we're going to repost the signatures. We're going to put the website back up, and we're asking you to please just sign it. And
sign it, share it.
Yeah, please do. Share our show as well. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on almost every social media platform, thanks to Brian Trammell, that you can visit. Okay, we're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on so many things. So please, okay. Rich, I'm sure you've signed it, right?
No, not yet. But now that you've talked about it, I will.
Please do. Okay, when we're done here,
yes.
We're going to, like I said, when we post the show, we'll post the link again. Please share it. Ask your friend, ask your wife, anybody. Ask people to sign it. Okay, so that takes care of that part of it. Rich, I'm going to ask you now. You said that you watch Monday Night Wrestling. Do you watch any other wrestling?
Yeah, I watch AEW. I watch any kind of wrestling that I have the availability to. I've been from the current product. I don't watch TNA. I think they're on a network that I don't have access to with my cable subscriber. But I read all the results and what's going on. I, look at various wrestling websites, prowrestling.net, Wade Keller, PW Insider, Wrestling Inc. So I'm on there like 25 times a day, just looking to see if there's anything new on there. And so other than AEW and WWE is what I watch. And I will tell you that in the beginning of AEW, and of course AEW kind of came into being as a result of the all in card, was it, that the four guys did, right? It was Cody and the the Jackson brothers and Kenny Omega. They did that show in Chicago that sold like 10,000 tickets in like less than an hour. And that spiraled into AEW, and then they got the TV contract. I loved AEW when I first started watching it, and one of the reasons that I was really enjoying it, quite honestly, was because of Chris Jericho. I just think that the man has reinvented himself so many times, and
he has.
For me, wrestling, professional wrestling, has always, again, since I was a kid, has always been my form of entertainment, and not just enjoyment, but laughter. I would laugh at the interviews and the things that the wrestlers had to say. And Chris Jericho, which has cracked me up all the time. I think that today's AEW product, I think it's a mixed bag. I think it's inconsistent in its booking, in its storytelling. There's been some great stuff. There's been not so great stuff. I have to give credit where credit's due. I think their production is top notch. So what they've done from a production standpoint is top notch. There are some things that I'll watch on YouTube, like some of these smaller independent wrestling promotions that I will intermittently watch.
Well, I'm going to talk about this real quick. I know that I am like a lot of people think I'm a turncoat because I still watch wrestling. I don't care. I love wrestling. Love it. I just do. I watch wrestling every single night of the week except for Thursday and Sunday because there isn't any on. I watch Rampage. I watch Collision. I watch Dynamite. I watch SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. There's a guy on NXT right now. His name is Obafemi. Oh, my God. Have you seen him, Rich?
Yeah, he is a powerhouse. And the premium live event that NXT had last weekend, or the weekend that they had Money in the Bank, I thought that NXT was a much, much better event than Money in the Bank.
It was.
And he was phenomenal. He was tremendous.
I got to tell you what this guy does. And I have a picture of him. I'm going to put it up real quick. Okay. This guy is unreal. All right. And I'm going to tell you why I like him. And Jeannie, you're going to laugh at this because you know me. Okay. This is what he looks like. That's Obafemi. Okay.
Oh, wow.
He's a 6'6". He weighs 310 pounds. But this is what he does. When he comes out of the ring, all right, he stands there with his arms up like this. And the way the light is on him, his hands go like this. So he looks like Freddy Krueger when he does this stuff he does. And the lights shoot off of his fingers, kind of, His legs, his thighs are about this big, okay? But then, come on, and Rich, you can attest to this. When he comes out, the song that he sings that he comes out to, it's something like, dun, dun, woo, dun, dun, woo, And when he comes out, he walks like this to the ring. He goes, he just, from side to side, he walks to the ring like this. And as soon as I saw him do that at the pay-per-view of last week, I fell in love, okay? First of all, for a big guy like that, he's a top-notch wrestler. He really is good, number one. But number two, that music, that persona, that walk, that, I don't even know, the presentation that he has is worth watching NXT for, okay? I personally think NXT has come a long way Some of it, like you said, Rich, is okay. Some of it's not that great. But what is good in it is people like him. He is a champion. I forgot exactly what champion he is. I didn't pay attention to that, but he is so damn good. I can't stand it. Okay, so anybody who watches NXT, watch Obafemi. I love him. He's Nigerian. He's a really big guy. My cup of tea, 100%. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and Rich, I know you've probably seen this, is last week on Dynamite, they had a match with Will Ospreay, who is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. I absolutely love this man, okay? He took on MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who's like their big guy. He's their popular guy in AEW. And I got to tell you, it literally broke the internet. That match went 59 minutes and 58 seconds, okay? Yes.
Oh, my God.
MJF won the belt.
You don't never see that anymore.
No. But what happened was at the last 2 seconds, like 56 seconds, MJF hit Will with his real big ring, knocked him out, pinned him, got the belt. Okay, but anyway, up until that point, and Rich, I'm going to let you talk about this for a little bit. To me personally, bar none, one of the most incredible matches I have seen in years. MJF and Will Ospreay did the most amazing, and I'm talking amazing moves, jumps. It was, and it wasn't just, they called Will Ospreay the aerial assassin. It wasn't even that. It was just that they were so in sync, and they did bang, 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 bang. The action did not stop. Every social media platform, even the platforms that didn't like AEW, talked about that being one of the best matches that there ever was. Rich, am I right?
Yeah, what? Absolutely.
What did you say, Jeannie?
We lost connection for a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a great match. Generally speaking, in those 60-minute matches, they spend the first 15, 20 minutes usually just pacing themselves. But this was like back and forth, like nonstop. There were so many near falls and so many high aerial moves done on both parties. And MJF is going back and forth. I mean, he's probably one of the greatest heels in professional wrestling today.
Absolutely.
There was a time period probably in the last year that he was a face because he had Adam Cole. He had Adam Cole turn on him. And regardless, the fans just love him, even as a heel, and then they love booing him. But the thing that I found striking was I would have expected that out of Will Ospreay because I've seen him before and they've talked about him all over the internet, what an amazing wrestler he is. I did not expect that kind of performance and that kind of time limit frame from MJF.
Yeah, I mean, generally, you're right about that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, he's usually, I don't know. I've seen him go long matches before, but I never in a million years would have imagined, especially at the pace that they both kept up. And
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, for most of the match, he didn't really heel it. I mean, he was really back and forth with Ospreay from a pure wrestling move standpoint. It wasn't until the very end when he conked him with the diamond ring to get the pin, right, which was pretty funny. How that happened with 2 seconds left, because nobody would have expected that. Everyone just would have expected it would have ended in a draw.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Jeannie, if you get a chance, go on YouTube. Honest to God. I mean, even if it's not for the whole hour, you got to watch it. But they, from the get, like you said, Rich, from the moment they both stepped in the ring, and MJF is more like a, like you said, Rich, he's more like just a heel kind of guy. And but it was so cool. They went and fought in the stands. And Will Ospreay had this little 7-year-old girl come out and punch him. He punched MJF and he, high-fived her and stuff. But they went up into the audience. They went up the steps. They came down. But these two, I swear to God, never missed a step. It was unbelievable. And yeah, I got to give props to MJF too, like you said, Rich, because that's not his forte. And he did so good. Will Ospreay, they call him the aerial assassin for a reason, and he will tell you himself he is on another level, and he really is on another level. All right, I am in love with him. I am in love with Obafemi. I don't care. Okay, it's like going to be Nikita relived all over again. But I'm telling you that, and I really wish to God that there was a way I could get a message to both of them, because they are both phenomenal. I mean, I don't like the way it ended, but I have a feeling, because they're going to come up. I think it's next week or in a couple weeks in Wembley in England. And I believe that it's going to be a rematch. The only thing about AEW, like I said before, is they still have their pay-per-views that you have to pay $50 for, which is a lot of money. I wish they would get something streaming like WWE has, because I think that they would really do well. They do some incredible matches on their TV. They do incredible matches on Collision. I'm telling you, it's unreal how good that match was, and I can't say enough about it. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to watch wrestling now, especially us old timers, but I would not have missed it for the world. And I go to bed really early at night because I get up at 4, but I had to stay up. I stayed up till 9 o'clock, watched the entire thing. I taped it. I still have the tape, and I loved it. Every minute of it, I loved it. So I'm giving props to AEW for their Dynamite show. And it was called 250 Dynamite because it was their 250th episode. So I think every week they're going to increase it, to 251 episode or whatever. But it was unreal. Anybody who didn't see it, check it out on YouTube. I think the whole match is on there. But anyway, let me ask you a question, Rich. If Jeannie and I were to do another fan club, let's just say, Rasslin Radio Relived Fan Club, would you join, or would you advise that and maybe start doing some get-togethers again like we used to?
Absolutely. I would love for you to do that once again. And I think that's something that's lacking today, because the wrestling has just become so huge, and not just national, but international now. I mean, when you go back into the old days, and even when you started Rasslin Radio and WWF, it started, going into the other territories. They weren't the international phenomenon that they are today. Right. And for you to be doing something on a local basis for not only the old school fans, but I really think the current fans would really get a lot out of it and enjoy it, and get an opportunity to hear conversations about what the old school wrestling days were like. I mean, I'm just like you. It's really funny you said that, because when I still work full time, and I tell people in my organization, I said, you can contact me any day or night of the week, except Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday and Saturday. I said Thursday there's no wrestling on, and Sunday there's no wrestling on.
That's what I say too. Yeah, it's so funny.
Except if they have like a 2-night PLE like they've been doing with WrestleMania, and now what they're going to be doing for the first time with SummerSlam. But no, I would definitely not only encourage starting something like that up again. Hopefully I'll be your first member, but and I'll spread the word, because I still have very dear friends from my childhood days that I grew up with in Philly. And what we used to do every month is all the WCW pay-per-views were at my house, and the guys would come over, and all the WWE pay-per-views were at somebody else's house, and we would go over their house, and it was like a monthly ritual. And they're still wrestling fans to this day, and I would reach out to them and encourage them to not only join but get involved.
Oh, thank you so much. What do you think, Jeannie?
I think it's a great idea. If we have do we have a target number of who we want, of how many?
As many as possible. As many.
Oh, no, I know, but I understand that. But in order to do it, we can't just have 3.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I'd like to start with 25. I think.
Yeah.
I think 25 would be a good shot. Again, okay, so send us an email, or comment on YouTube, or comment on Facebook in that particular vein, you can let us know what you would think if we decided to start a Rasslin Radio fan club, or, you know, rekindle the Squared Circle fan club, whatever, you know, because right now everything's open for grabs. I mean, nothing's ever been copyrighted, so we're all good. But I think it's important. Unfortunately, like if anybody wants to see a John Cena, like Paul said to me the other day, he called me. He goes, you know, it would be really good if you could get Steve Austin or The Rock. I said, what are you kidding? I said, it'd be just as easy for me to call
that would
Jesus.
be good, but
I could get on the phone and say, hey, Jesus, do you want to be on the show? I mean, how are you going to do that? You know what I mean? You know, we can't possibly get The Rock. We can't possibly get Steve Austin. That's not going to happen. All right. So would you want to see in person the people that have been on our show? The Tom Brandys, the Glenn Osbornes, the Davey O'Hannons, which I personally would jump up and down for. I would love that. To see the Manny Fernandezes, to see the DC Drakes, to see Joel Goodhart, to see Johnny Hotbody, to see Tony Stetson, to see, those we can absolutely do. But, you know, again, you have to understand, and of course it's not going to cost hundreds of dollars like the WWE does, but I think it would be, like Rich said, I think it would be nice to actually have interaction with a lot of these people from years ago. And again, to sit and talk to them in person about what it was like to get started in the business, what it was like to not have any money, you know, what it was like to have to make your own way, and to know that if it wasn't for these people, these Davey O'Hannons and these Tom Brandys, and, you know, that wrestling today may not even exist at all if it wasn't for these people struggling so hard to become wrestlers and to forage and to do what they had to do. You know what I mean? So I think it might be a good idea. I mean, we want to get people's opinions, of course, you know, but it's funny because, like, where I work, because I still work as well, Rich, but, you know, we have, like, I'm constantly telling everybody, you know, I have a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And my one coworker laughed because I was on the phone talking to a client about a problem that they were having, you know, and while I'm talking to them, I'm like, oh, by the way, did you know I have a podcast, you know? And she started laughing. She goes, is there anybody that you don't tell that to? And I'm like, no, I got to tell everybody, you know. But that's how, you know, you get listeners. You get word of mouth is what makes it happen more than anything else, I think, anyway. But I think this talking and bringing things up and being honest, and that's another thing. I want very much to always be honest on the show, very much to be clear and to make everybody understand what we are and what we can and can't do, and what, you know, they can and can't expect from us. So I enjoy so much doing this. I know you do, Jeannie. We look forward to Saturday mornings like so badly. It's like crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And I get excited, and, you know, 9:15 I go and put makeup on and all this other stuff, and then I'm like, okay, here we go. And, you know, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I don't know, Rich, how you feel about this, and I'm going to ask you how you feel about it, but I am very excited to have a fan on who is still a fan and who appreciated what we did. I mean, is this as exciting for you to be on the show as it is for me and Jeannie to have you?
Well, first of all, I'm honored that you asked me to be on the show. And it was a really, you know, at first it was really a great way to reconnect. I mean, we were friends on Facebook, but never really reached out to each other. But I have to tell you, like right now, I feel like I'm like going back to my childhood, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. I could talk about, I could be on this with you until 3:00 this afternoon, and I still wouldn't be done. This is like, it's funny because when you first contacted me about being on this podcast with you, and I went into the other room and I told my wife, Harriet, and I was so excited because she knows my love for wrestling. And you know what she said to me? She said, I have not seen you look this happy and beaming in years.
Aww.
And that is just that, and that is 100% true. I mean, I can talk about wrestling again 24/7, and just being here, having the opportunity to talk with both of you about it, especially the old stuff, but even the current stuff, because I have not missed watching wrestling on a weekly basis, when it was even on weekly, since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And that's when I first started, that's how I first started, when I was 8 years old. My parents we had a small house in the Mount Airy section of Philadelphia, row house. And, I have an older brother who's 5 years older than me. And we're watching the television one day on a Saturday. And, back then they had just come out with UHF. What was it?
Okay.
It was three, channel 3, channel 6.
Oh my God.
Then all of a sudden, then they came out with the UHF, and that was a big thing. And then there was channel 17, channel 29, channel 48, and we're channel surfing. And we get to this channel, and there is this announcer in the middle who's standing outside of this ring, who's interviewing. And again, this is the first time I'm ever seeing this, right? He's interviewing Bruno Sammartino. And the announcer was Ray Morgan. Ray Morgan was the original play-by-play announcer when they were doing, it was the Capital Wrestling Corporation, and they were doing the matches out of Washington.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. I met him several times.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Ray Morgan.
I think
yeah.
Ray Morgan got fired because he wanted more money. I think Vince Sr. fired him. But he was so he was in the middle doing the interview. Bruno was talking, and in comes this big guy who interrupts him, and it was Cowboy Bill Watts.
Oh my God!
And
yeah.
They were supposedly friends, and Cowboy Bill Watts comes in, starts arguing with him, interrupts him, punches Bruno out. And I'm looking at this for the first time, and I'm saying to my brother, he can't do that. What's he doing? And my brother says, Rich, it's not real. I said, yes, it is. I got all outraged. And that was the first time I ever saw it. And from that moment, Carmela, I was hooked. From that moment.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's addicting. I started, as I said many times, when I was 6. My parents had been involved way before me. They had known boxers as well as wrestlers. And then we started with roller derby and blah, blah, blah. Jeannie, how old were you when you started?
I was a late bloomer. I was 17.
So was that when you and I met, or was that,
yes.
were you going? Okay.
Well, I mean, it was like the summer of 85, I guess. And yeah. And
okay.
for me, it was the NWA. But yeah, I was just putting there was nothing on. It was like Saturday morning, and I'm like, all right, well, let me watch this wrestling thing, because whatever came on after it, I wanted to watch. And, back then, yeah, there was only so many channels. It was before cable, and, you were your own remote. There was no sitting and clicking. You had to get up and change the channel.
Yeah.
But that was NWA, and it was like, oh my God, I fell in love, and it was great. And then the next couple weeks or whatever, I think I was watching it, and then there was I'm pretty sure there was a commercial on the wrestling show of the grand opening of the Squared Circle store.
Yeah, there was actually.
And
you're right.
And I was like, oh my God, and I'm like begging my mother, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And she was like, yeah, of course. Absolutely. And then went to the grand opening and met my idol.
Oh, stop it. We met and we became friends ever since.
Yes.
And it's funny because Jeannie and I kind of drifted a little bit for a few years, and then we rekindled, and it was like we never stopped being friends. Yeah. It was crazy, and we never will ever. But,
now, Rich, did you ever go to the store at the old I-95 marketplace? Were you ever at the store? I don't remember.
No, okay. I wasn't.
Okay. Well, did you used to go to the old Marriott after the shows and stuff like that?
No, generally I would just go home after that. In retrospect, I wish I would have. just even from meeting people in a networking standpoint. And again, just, talking to people about wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think in Rich's case too, and I'm going to be a little cocky here and say this, I think that, that meeting us, becoming part of the Squared Circle fan club, helped him get the exposure, I'm going to say, that, you did not have prior to that. And I think that that's a wonderful thing, because we did help a lot of people, meet wrestlers and interact with them and do this and do that. And I think that that was a really good thing, because not only did the fans have fun, but we had fun. And we met, as well as Rich, lifelong friends. And I think that's really important. And especially in a world that we're living in today, where there's so much hate and anger and so much hostility, that it's so good to have things that you might have in common and become lifelong friends. I mean, come on, wrestling, everybody knows wrestling is wrestling, all right? Who cares? As long as you get to meet people and you have fun and you talk and you become friends and you interact, to me personally, I think that's the best thing in the world. And I would not give that up for all the tea in China. And that's why, when we talked about doing the podcast, again, I'm going to give props to Matt for saying, Carmela, don't you want to leave a legacy for your children? Yeah, but I didn't think about it as a legacy. I thought about it as a rekindling, to meet people and to do this and do that. Like, I've been trying now to get on social media, and I've reached out to Lynn Brown. I've reached out to Alice Luzeau. Remember her? I've reached out to a lot of people, Dana Chili. I would love to have these people come on the show. Sometimes I think they're shy, maybe, and don't, want to be on, the internet or whatever. But I think it's important that we can have, I want to do a thing where we have 2 or 3 fans, so then they can interact. I think that's important too. And I really want to consider strongly restarting a fan club. I think that would be awesome. I think it really would. Now, I'm going to jump to something else real quick. I just posted on Facebook the other day was the anniversary of the death of Bruiser Brody. It was 35, I believe, 35 years since he passed. He passed away in 88. And that was purely, honestly, one of the most tragic. I think Bruiser Brody and Owen Hart are pretty much neck and neck with tragic deaths. Deaths that did not have to happen. Deaths that were not basically heart attacks, steroids, drugs, that kind of stuff that you hear so much of today. Bruiser Brody was flat out murdered. Owen Hart fell from 80 feet in the air and hit this part of his face on the actual post where the turnbuckles are. These were tragic deaths. Okay. And we are honored, so honored. We're going to be having Bruiser Brody's widow on the show. I'm beyond excited to have Barbara on. I've spoken to her through social media several times now, and God bless her. She is a wonderful, kind, sweet woman, and she has agreed to do the podcast. So I think that that's really important that people know that, and we're going to announce that before it comes on. It'll be sometime in August, and I want as many people as possible to listen, because this is hard for her, even 35 years later. I mean, my mom is going 45 years, and to me, it's like it was yesterday. So I know this is hard for her, especially with the constant recognition that she gets, for him being a public figure, and the things that Japan has done for her and for him, because he was such a big guy there. It breaks my heart that had to happen. It breaks my heart that there was no restitution. It breaks my heart that, so many things happen like that and just go on along the wayside. So we are going to have her on, and I'm very honored to say that. God willing, everybody will listen. I think that's going to be a really good show.
I know I watched the Dark Side of the Ring for Brody, and like you said, Owen, and there was one other one. The Von Erichs.
Yeah.
I just cried. And there was one time I went to wrestling convention, and Tony Atlas was there, and it was right after I saw the Brody episode, and I was just like, oh my God, you made me cry. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like because I remember that he, was killed, but I don't remember at the time. I don't remember, okay, what happened? I had forgotten, and then hearing that, but I'm sure I didn't know all that, like Tony Atlas and all the inside info that he had given.
Right.
But yeah, just so sad. And he really was not my, I'm not into the hardcore, and all of that, but you couldn't help but just watch him and Abby and, and just being, in awe, because it was new to the area, at least our area, maybe not in Puerto Rico or Japan, but for us, it was this area. It was the first I'd ever seen. I was like, oh my God,
and he was a great man. He was a good man. He was a great dad, from what I understand. He worked for us. He and
I was going to say, I vaguely remember. Yeah. Didn't you guys have him on one of your shows?
Excellent performer, excellent man, excellent wrestler. I mean, unbelievable. And there are a lot of other deaths that were tragic than was, issue was tragic. But I don't know if both of you saw the Von Erich movie. Did you see that yet, Jeannie?
Yeah.
Did you see it, Rich? Okay.
Yeah.
From what I remember, okay, and I'm going to be very honest, from what I remember, the movie was really not up to date with what really happened.
Right.
It was not true to life. Why they did that and why they changed so much, I don't understand. Okay, because if you're going to make a movie about a family that had that kind of a tragic life, but you're going to change a lot of it, then why make the movie? I don't understand that. I did watch the movie. I was disappointed because, again, I knew things, but I thought that was a tragic, whole thing was tragic. What did you think, Rich? Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie. I thought it was very underwhelming, to be honest with you. I was very disappointed. One of the Von Erich brothers, one of the younger ones, I forget which one, if it was Mike or Chris, they even left out Chris. They left out his suicide in the entire movie.
Yeah. He wasn't even in the movie.
Right.
No, he wasn't even in the movie.
Completely out that they only had the 3 boys instead of the 4.
But see, this is what I don't understand, though. You talked about how the other boys died, okay? What was so different, technically, about Chris's death that would have made it so? I've read up on it, and they said, well, it was real tragic. It wasn't any more tragic to me than the other deaths were, So I don't understand why. No, I don't understand why they didn't put Chris's death in there, but.
Yeah, I mean, all of them were tragic, and I think the only one other than David, which was the first one, died from suicide, because David died in Japan from a medical condition.
Yes.
And going back to Bruiser Brody real quick, I've seen some of the shoot interviews that Tony Atlas did, where he really comes out and, tells what he saw and that he was there at the hospital, that he went to the hospital. I mean, it was tragic, not only that it didn't have to happen, but it was also tragic in the fact that the perpetrator never got the proper justice that was due to politics, due to his clout, due to his stature in Puerto Rico, and never really got punished for what he did. And it was almost like when you would see him afterward, it didn't even appear that there was any kind of remorse or any sadness at all. Yeah. And I remember Bruiser Brody, and most of his career was obviously not in the Northeast area. He was super huge in Japan with Stan Hansen, I believe, as a tag team partner.
Yeah.
They were huge. I mean, like the Japan audience, they just revered them both. I do believe that in the early 60s, he was in WWF, and I believe he did have a fight with Bruno.
I think you're right. I have to look that up, honestly, but I think you're right. But yeah, he was a remarkable man, and he did do a lot of work in Puerto Rico as well.
Right.
Again, it's tragic. It's so tragic. It's kind of like a thing like with Jimmy Snuka, what happened with him and Nancy, I believe that poor family, never got any, again, closure. Jimmy wound up dying before anything could be proven or, whatever. But again, I happened to be there that weekend. I did not see anything, but I was there that weekend. I was there a lot. I honestly, from the time I was 16, 17 years old, I literally traveled with them on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And, because it was territorial back then, so much was in this area. And my friend, as a matter of fact, I have a friend named Dawn, God bless her. I'm going to have her on the show. I'm going to beat the heck out of her if she doesn't get on the show, but I'm going to have her on the show because she was there with me during a lot of this stuff. And she has tons and tons and tons and tons of stories to tell. So I'm going to have her on as well, whether she writes to the email or not. I'm going to pull her by her hair and bring her here.
I'll help you.
Good, thank you. But she was there with me. She's been involved in wrestling almost as much as I have. She was also a very close friend to so many, especially Tony Alice, so many people. And she was there with me that weekend as well. We have seen things. We have seen how wrestlers act when they're drunk, when they're high. We have seen how wrestlers act when they're not. We have seen a lot of things. And this, again, comes back to a book, But then you got to be careful because, I don't know anything about writing a book. And I don't know if, these stories are allowed to be told. They are my experiences, and I'm allowed to talk about what I actually did experience, but it would be mentioning a lot of people's names. And, that's a little unnerving a little bit to me. So I don't know. I'd have to get a lot of ins and outs about writing a book because it's not that easy. A lot of the people that I would be talking about, unfortunately, are deceased now. And it's hard to get people's permission to say, well, yeah, I'm going to put you in my book, but I'm going to put in the book what an ass you were. I don't think they are going to say, well, yeah, sure, why not ruin my reputation? It's okay, So, there's a lot that I know that wasn't on TV. And there's a lot that we know that people don't know. So, again, that's a lot up in the air, and that has to be thought about before it can be written about. So I don't know. You know anything about writing a book, Rich?
No, I don't, but I will tell you that it's probably a really good idea for your own legacy and for what you've experienced in professional wrestling. I don't know if you read Todd Gordon's book, Todd is God, that came out last year. When you talk about being very direct and naming people, I thought it was a very good book. There were times that I thought, I thought he uses humor in some cases. It wasn't necessarily funny to me, but he was honest. He was honest because and he was very, very direct about what happened to him. Because according to him, Paul Heyman stole ECW from him. That's really like the bottom line from his story. But just hearing just reading a lot of the stuff that was behind the scenes, I think was very, very positive just for me to understand what happened with ECW. And for you, I'm using that as a comparison. I think that writing a book would be a really good way for you to really shore up your legacy.
I really would like to. Again, like I said, I feel like I don't want to hurt some of the families of the wrestlers, who are still alive. Because if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be honest about everything. And the wrestlers' families are still alive. So I don't know. Like I can be pretty forthcoming and pretty forward and pretty honest, especially when I get angry. I mean, I will tell you off in a second, but I am not somebody who will purposely hurt somebody's feelings. So, but like I said before, if I can't be honest about everything, I don't know. I got to think about it because, you have to understand, I had a lot of different relationships too with wrestlers in a lot of different ways. And like I said, a lot of them have families, a lot of them are gone, so then it's, oh, well, is she lying? Did she make this up? People who know me know that I don't do that. Okay. Because I don't remember my name half the time. So I'm not going to remember a lie. Okay. But again, if I can't tell the truth about everything, I don't know that I want to do that. I want to be able to be forthcoming about what I experienced. Is it going to hurt your family? Probably. I'm sorry. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If not, then I'm not, but I don't know. It's something to think about. I just got to get some more legalities involved because obviously I don't want to get sued either, even though it would be true. I wouldn't be able to actually prove some of that anymore because a lot of them are passed on, like, with Andre the Giant, with Ivan Putski, with the Samoans, with, a lot of the interactions that I've had, a lot of the people that have been to my house, a lot of the, I can't just say, yeah, well, there was this one wrestler that came to my house and, this happened and, he fell down my steps and boy, was that funny because he was so drunk without mentioning his name, and again, I don't know. Do I want to do that? Do I want to talk about somebody's inebriation? I don't know. But I mean, it was funny. We had fun, but, things happen with my friends and wrestlers. Things happen good and bad, So again, it's something to think about. But we're getting close to the end of the hour. I want to recap a little bit what we're doing in the upcoming weeks. Again, we're going to have Bruiser Brody's widow on our show. I'm trying to get her to reach out to Tony Garea to see if I can get him on the show. I love him dearly. We are also going to do another promotion about the May 3rd show in 2025. Again, people, keep that calendar day open. Okay, I'm telling you. Also, August 3rd in Delaware, if anybody is free to go. It's SummerSlam night, but the pay-per-view will be on Sunday. You can watch it on Sunday like I'm going to do. So you can do that. We're going to go down there. It's going to be a big show. From what I understand, there's going to be a lot of wrestlers there, a lot of wrestlers. Hopefully a lot more will be on the show at that point because we're going to go down there and snag them all. And then we have the banner. Please, 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 please sign the banner. Get your friends to sign the banner. Even if they don't like wrestling, who cares? Threaten them, beat them up, put them in a corner, choke them. I don't care. But get everybody you can to sign the banner. It's for Joel. It's for Tony Stetson. It's for Johnny Hotbody. It's for the late, great, amazing, wonderful Larry Winters. It's for DC Drake, the lovely, darling DC Drake. So we want to get that banner hung because they deserve it. They deserve it. Again, this all started with Rasslin Radio, but it continued with what Joel did with the TWA. All right. So we want that. When we post the show later today, we're going to post the link as well. We're going to ask you again. And Rich, you better sign it. Don't make me come after you. Okay. So.
Okay.
It's free to sign it. It's easy. It takes 2 seconds. And then, you sign it. Okay, everything done. Boom, share it. And
done deal.
Done.
Share our show. Okay. Subscribe to the show. That doesn't cost anything either. And then every time a show drops, you'll be notified. It's that simple. You don't even have to worry about copy and paste and all that. I think it's really important to get fans to come on the show. Please email us at 316carmela@gmail.com. Come on the show. We want you here. Let us know if you want to do another squared circle. Let us know if you want to rekindle that stuff. Rich obviously wants to. Let us know. We can do sell Rasslin Radio T-shirts and have a party and go to a park or go to a wrestling match or go have lunch with somebody. We'll get one of the older wrestlers to come out. And if the podcast is popular enough and it gets out there and somebody like Will Ospreay hears about it, maybe he'll come on too. You never know. But I'm looking forward to continuing with our podcast. I'm looking forward to having it be truly successful. I'm looking forward to just having it be a platform that people like. They just want to talk. They want to listen. They want to hear. That's all I want. I say a million times, we're in competition with nobody. We're just having fun. Rich, I hope you had a good time on the show.
I had a wonderful time. Thank you so much. And Jeannie, it's really great to meet you. And by the way, Carmela, if you ever decide that you want to have a second co-host, I volunteer.
Well, hey, you know what? Don't go far, okay?
No, absolutely.
You're very good.
I love this.
You're very knowledgeable. You are extremely knowledgeable, and that does my heart good because a lot of it has to do with us. And I love listening to what you were saying because you are on point, okay? And you never know. I mean, there might be a week that I can't do the show, and you can do it with Jeannie. There might be a week Jeannie can't do the show. You can do it with me. But don't forget, we will have you back again regardless, okay?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I want you to come back again. Please keep in touch, of course. Please spread the word. Tell your friends that you were here. Tell your friends that you had a good time. Tell your friends that you would do it again. We really want people involved. We want to know what you think. We want you to be here. We want you to be a part of our show. Again, Rich, it was amazing having you here. Yes. Please tell your wife that we said hello. And maybe next time you come on, you can let her come up for a little bit and say hi. I love your background, by the way.
Thanks.
It's really cool. Okay. Also, by the way, my background, I just wanted to let you know, was drawn by my little girl. My daughter's an artist, and I'm going to periodically put some of her art up here too because she's so good. But anyway, Rich, I'm going to take you off the screen now and say goodbye to you. And thank you so much. Jeannie and I have a little bit of closing recap to do. So God bless you. It was great seeing you. And
thanks, same here, Carmela. Thanks, Jeannie.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Jeannie. Now let's talk about what we're doing today. Again, we're going to go meet with Frank, Chili, and Jeff. We're going to have a great time. Yeah. We're going to talk about having them on the show. I'm so beyond excited. I'm beyond excited.
Me too.
Yes, I've never met Jeff. I'm beyond excited.
He's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah. I love Jeff.
Yeah. So we're going to go talk to them. And
you haven't seen Frank in person. You guys haven't been in like 25, 30 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I haven't seen Frank. Yeah. And
thankfully, I get to see him all the time. I know
him. You lucky.
He's just one of my favorite humans.
He's great. He's a great guy. He really is. And it'll be wonderful.
And he'll have some amazing stories. And, from back in the day. Absolutely.
Yes, he will. And I can't wait to talk to him about it. Also, his sister, Dana. Dana, I know you watch the show. So I want you to come on the show as well. We will not talk politics at all. So it'll be a nice, fun conversation. We'll just talk wrestling. I love you dearly.
I love Dana.
I love her.
Dana's amazing.
She's an amazing
She's a sweetheart.
Girl and
fellow
a friend.
Philadelphia Eagles super fan. So yes.
And she lives in Chicago right now.
Yeah. She's
been
there for a while.
Yeah, in CM Punk's little hometown. So maybe she can spread our show around out there because she has friends out there. So that'll be good. So we're trying to get Dana on. Again, I'm going to name drop Alice, Lynn Brown. I don't know.
Teresa
Petrucci?
Yes.
Teresa Petrucci.
I know she lives in Florida, but
No, that is Teresa Pasillo.
Pasillo, yeah. You're right.
Teresa Petrucci is up here. Teresa Pasillo is in Florida. I'd love to have her on. Yeah. We're going to have Tom Brandy back. Tom Brandy, I spoke to him. He's doing well.
Yes.
He's recovering, thank God. Davey O'Hannon and his wife, both of them have been ill. I think everybody's been sick this past week or two. So they're doing well. They're doing better. I want to wish everybody out there a great, wonderful weekend. Please stay indoors if it gets too hot, okay? Jeannie, I will see you at 1 o'clock. I can't wait.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we will talk today, and then we will talk on Monday. We're going to film the show on Monday, and then we're going to air that show on Saturday with our fan club member Jamie Ward as well. Okay.
Yes, I'm excited for that one as well.
Me too. All right, Jeannie. I will talk to you later. I love you.
I will
dearly.
see you soon. I love you. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.